November 23rd, 2016.
Was the day that changed Jay Shaw and his family's lives forever.
He had overdosed on painkillers, and that's how he passed away in his sleep.
At the age of 20, Abi Shaw had lost his life from mixing opiates with alcohol. His cousin and best friend Jay recalls receiving the devastating news.
I was actually at a Pistons game back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and I had just about to go in, and I just sat outside the Palace for like 45 minutes waiting for my brother to come pick me up to go to there. Seen him less than 24 hours before. We had said goodbye before we were both heading off for Thanksgiving break, and I was just complete shock. I mean, he was one of my closest friends here, known him almost my entire life.
In 2016, Abi was one of 77 individuals who died from misusing opioids in Ingham County. The epidemic here started to escalate in 2012 when the death toll rose from 29 in that year to 55 in 2014. Linda Vale, the health officer of the Ingham County Health Department, explains the trend in the recent years.
That fourfold increase that they're seeing across the country is pretty typical. You know, deaths have quadrupled in the United States. Deaths have quadrupled in most jurisdictions, counties, places like that.
The death trend in Ingham County and the rest of the country brings about this question. What has led society to believe that using these opioids is a proper pain remedy?
Along came some pharmaceutical companies that did some marketing of some new drugs, OxyContin in particular, that said this drug is a safe alternative, can be used for chronic pain, it has less addictive potential.
And with easy accessibility, East Lansing Police Captain Chad Connolly believes that this city is not immune to the epidemic.
We are struggling with this just like every other communities. We've had deaths of some of our college students, some of our permanent residents from opioid overdoses. And so it hasn't excluded East Lansing. It's definitely touched our police department, it's touched our community.
The 34th annual Silver Bells in the City took place Friday night in downtown Lansing, and with more than 70 lit up floats and many Lansing area marching bands, the frigid weather really didn't stop people from coming out to enjoy some early Christmas festivities.
Last year was raining like crazy, I heard, so this is way better than rain.
And whether it was the little kids enjoying all of the bright lights, or some of the older adults reliving their childhood, the parade brought a whole community together. And as for the turnout,
It's good. First time down here, it's nice.
another part of the Silver Bells tradition included a special gathering at the Capitol lawn. Lansing's Christmas tree is officially lit up, as you can see here. Mayor Andy Shore and over 80,000 people from all over the state gathered for the annual Silver Bells in the City. And now Christmas is officially underway at the Capitol. And you've made mention that education and the environment are your two big important points that you want to tackle once you get into office. Kind of just expand on, those two and what you would really bring to the table. One of the hardest parts of being a recovering addict and full-time student is simply being able to balance the time and stress while focusing on mental health and sobriety. That's why MSU's Collegiate Recovery Program is now offering on-campus housing to help alleviate that pain. Julie Brixey, on her way out, kind of just talk about what she's meant to the board along with the search for a new candidate. Yesterday, Home TV's Deborah Guthrie spoke with Meridian Township Park naturalist Kelsey Dillon about the 8th annual Deer Management Program that kicked off on October 1st of this year. We at Home TV have some tips on how to prevent your home from obtaining freezing pipes this winter. Keep a drip in your faucet. A steady drip of cold water will keep the water flowing in your pipes. Secondly, open your cabinet doors. This will expose your pipes to the warmth of your house. And finally, never let your thermostat from going under 55 degrees. Many homeowners mistakenly turn down the temperature too low when heading out of town. Meridian Township Treasurer Julie Brixey was elected to the state representative spot for the 69th District of Michigan on Tuesday night. This means that her spot as treasurer is now open. The board will discuss the now vacant spot at tonight's board meeting. With the temperature dropping and snow falling, it's important to protect yourself from the negative health effects of the extreme cold. Cold weather can be dangerous for anyone who enjoys outdoor winter sports, and people who work outdoors during the winter must be mindful of the risk. Michigan State baseball has returned north after playing their first 15 games in various warm weather venues. The Spartans opened their season with a 4-game set against Niagara earlier this month and took on Michigan in a home-and-home series this past weekend. MSU came into the Saturday game in East Lansing with a 6-14 record. We start in the 7th inning. Bryce Kelly executes a perfect squeeze bunt with a runner on third. Danny Gleaves crosses the plate to give the Spartans a 1-0 lead. Spartans knocking on the door, and what do you know? It's Lewerke again, spinning out of trouble and diving in for the 5-yard score. MSU would lead 14-3 first half. The Chips trying to get something going offensively, but it's Justin Lane picking off Tommy Lazaro. The Spartans would tack on a late field goal and lead this game 17-3 at half. Meanwhile, the Spartan women missed out on the NCAA tournament, but their season came to an end in the women's NIT when they traveled to South Dakota for a third-round matchup last Saturday. The Spartan season came to an end when they suffered an 85-83 overtime loss to South Dakota. Shea Colley led the Spartans with a career-high 31 points in the losing effort, the first 30-point game by Michigan State this season. The Spartans' lead was as big as 7 in the fourth quarter, but the Coyotes scored 4 straight points in the last 22 seconds to send it to overtime. Michigan State's main concern is going to be containing Luke Falk. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time in regards to passing yards. He's 7th all time on that list. And to put things in perspective, Baker Mayfield's one under that at 8th, the almost Heisman runner at this point. So that's going to be a huge thing for MSU to contain. You know, Washington State throws the ball about 80% of the time. So that'll be a key for the defense. In regards to Michigan State's offense, you know, we might find Brian Lewerke running the ball a little more. Washington State's passing defense is ranked in the top 15, so he might be scrambling a little more, which doesn't really hurt MSU. I think they do pretty well when he runs.
Pick things up first play in the second quarter. Shea Patterson throws a bullet here to Nico Collins for a 6-yard score. Wolverines led 7-0. MSU needed a big momentum play, and they would get it from their defense. Raekwon Williams stripping the ball here from Michigan running back Kareem Higdon, and the Spartans would take over at the Michigan 7-yard line. 2 plays later, it's the Spartans special as L.J. Scott tosses it to Darryl Stewart, who finds Lewerke in the back of the end zone. The game would be tied early on in the third.
But come second half, Shea Patterson and that Wolverine offense really started to click. Got a couple big plays, one to Donovan Peoples-Jones for a 79-yard touchdown.